What's up, family? Welcome back to a new video. And in today's video, we are covering that question. What should you, as the seller, be expecting during the due diligence period? How to prepare for it? I'm going to answer that question with 3 helpful tips, and let's get into it. All right, family, if this is your first time on my YouTube channel or on any of my content, if you've never seen me before in your life, allow me to say hello and welcome to the channel here at Atlanta, Georgia Living. My goal is to familiarize you with the area and also give you helpful tips and tricks, not even tricks, tips to understand how to navigate the buying process or the selling process here in Metro Atlanta. All right. I also specialize as a relocation specialist, helping buyers and sellers relocate to the Atlanta metropolitan area. So if that is you, any of those things, and you want to get in contact with me, that is my direct number. Feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, and we will schedule a formal consultation where we can talk about what your desires and your goals are. All right. Now, if you are a frequent viewer or a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back to the channel and hopefully gaining and getting some more helpful information for you to navigate your transaction. All right. Now, in today's video, we are covering what should a seller be expecting during the due diligence period and how to prepare for it. So I got 3 tips that I'm going to give you, the seller, on how you can navigate that due diligence period, right, the most optimal way. All right, so without further ado, let's get into that right now. During the due diligence period, all right, so first of all, let's go back really quickly. Let's go back. What is the due diligence period? So if you are thinking about selling your home, obviously feel free to give me a call if you do not have an agent already selected. But if you have an agent selected, or even if you're working with me, welcome to the due diligence period. The due diligence period is the time in which the buyer has the right to inspect the property, inspect the neighborhood, go over documents, really understand what it is that they're buying. All right, that's essentially what the due diligence period is and who it impacts. In Georgia, sellers do not have a formal due diligence period. Sellers do not have the right to inspect the buyer per se. That has to be done before you accept their contract. So sellers don't have any role in the due diligence period beyond being ready to be on the receiving end of what comes with that due diligence period. All right, All right, so let's get into the tips. The first tip is to be honest with yourself. Why do I say that? And why would you not be honest with yourself? Well, some people are not. Some people go into selling their homes with expectation, right, of the fairy tale, right? And they don't really compartmentalize and separate like what I want versus what I need until it comes a point to do that. But my suggestion is to do that before you hit the due diligence period, but exactly when you're in it, you need to be very clear on what your goals are, what your limitations are, okay? So being honest with yourself up front is the most important part of my tips today. Also, if you're being honest with yourself, you know your property. You know some of the things that are flawed or that need to be addressed. So being honest is also to flip it backwards and be rational too, right? As it relates to how that buyer is going to respond to certain things. When you're honest with yourself, you can also rationalize beyond your own individual goals or your own individual desire. So I encourage you to do that as well during this due diligence period. Now, tip number 2 is going to be, once you're honest with yourself and you know the condition of your house, you know you may have to, be ready to kind of have a rebuttal or respond to some things. That goes to tip number 2, which is to be ready and willing to renegotiate aspects of the contract. If you are aware of the fact that your house is XYZ, then you gotta be ready to renegotiate on the back end. I cannot express to you how I've seen brand new bills, right, with my clients as a buyer agent on their transaction with a brand new build and us having to go to the builder and say, hey, this was incorrect, this needs to be addressed. So be ready to respond to repair requests. Be ready to respond to credits in lieu of repairs. So that's very key. All right. If you're telling yourself that your inspection report, well, not even inspection report, but if you're telling yourself, hey, I'm not going to have to do any type of work here in this period of time, either they buy the house the way it is or they don't need to buy it at all. That's the wrong mindset to go into the due diligence period with. I'm just being honest with you, because you got some people that will just literally walk away because they're not rational. And I don't think that's a rational perspective to have either. Obviously, if you want to sell your property, it works with, there is some goals and some steps that you got to go through. And one of those is negotiations. And that's why you hire an agent to help you through it. So I don't want to get too far down on that road, but be ready and willing to renegotiate aspects. You're going to get some things that come up on your inspection report. That's the whole point of me saying, no matter how new the home is, some things are going to come up. You need to be ready to renegotiate aspects of it. All right. So leading into our third tip, which is going to be, do not beat your listing agent up. Don't think that they're your enemy. Your listing agent is not the enemy. And why am I saying that? Well, sometimes when sellers skip, being honest with themselves, and they skip the ability to be ready to renegotiate, not saying that you will have to, but just being in a frame of mind to renegotiate. When you don't do those two things, what I found in my 13 years of experience in doing this type of work, that the seller will sometimes revert back to, well, you're not representing me. And all of those type of accusations, right? And the reason that happens is because those two things were not done, but moreover, because they're not getting the response, right, from their listing agent to continue, right, to tell them what they want to hear versus what they need to hear. So hear me when I say good representation is not predicated upon you getting told what you want to hear, but true representation should be predicated on you receiving the truth of the matter. All right? Point blank, period. So just because the agent, your listing agent, is trying to help you rationalize from a validity standpoint, or even a standpoint of where the buyer and the buyer's agents are coming from, right? You can't think that they're your enemy. Your listing agent is likely going to get caught up in the crosshairs, right? Because that's just how it works. You got a buyer's agent coming in with repair requests or with credits in lieu of repairs. And that listing agent is having to go back to that seller and try, if it's rationable, right? Obviously, within, margins of error, right? Within margins of, not even error, but within margins of understanding. If the buyer's agent's request vis-a-vis the buyer, right? From the buyer's perspective, if the buyer and the buyer's agents are making sense in their request, you cannot beat up the listing agent for bringing it to you. And if you was honest with yourself about your property in the begin with, we wouldn't be having that problem. And two, if you already knew what your limitations were, you can candidly come back and say, this is what I'm willing to do, and this is not what I'm willing to do. Right? So you cannot skip step 1 and 2. If you want to have a prosperous due diligence period as a seller, follow these 3 things, and I guarantee you're going to knock it out of the ballpark. You're going to get to the closing table because you have done the necessary work to get there. All right. So don't beat your listing agent up just because they're trying to help you rationalize what they were hired to do. All right. Again, good representation is not predicated on you getting good news. Good representation is predicated on you getting the truth. All right. So if any of this was helpful, definitely hit the like button and drop a comment down below if you've enjoyed today's video. Also hit the subscribe button to become a part of the Atlanta, Georgia Living family, where you'll get these type of videos, dropping the knowledge so that you can advocate for yourself on your journey. So I'm excited about continuing to produce these type of videos throughout the whole year. So definitely know that this channel is active and you can check back here at any time for new uploads. All right. But how you're notified is if you hit that subscribe button, you'll be notified when that video or any new videos are released here on the channel. And again, if you need a great realtor, broker here in Metro Atlanta, I would love to schedule a consultation with you to get your home search started or to get your home sale started. All right. So if you need any of my assistance, feel free to reach out to me. And until the next video, you take care of yourself and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.